our math notebook. Yesterday, we learned how to add decimal numbers, right? Today, we are going to be subtracting decimal numbers. Ready to rock? You guys, do you remember how I told you yesterday that adding decimals was going to be easier than you thought it would be? And you guys agreed, yeah, Missy, this was easier than I thought it would be? Subtracting is the exact same thing as adding, except you're subtracting the decimals. Same steps, except we're subtracting instead of adding. Okay? Jack L. So basically you just subtract the numbers? Yeah, basically like that, except we're lining up the decimal like yesterday. We're filling in any blank spots with zeros. Yep, exactly. Chanel. Are we going to do like write down the steps that we No, you are going, since we already have the steps written down in yesterday's notes, we're just going to kind of practice today, okay? Go ahead. So, we are first going to get our notes labeled. So, 2.5 subtract decimals. 2.5 subtract decimals. And today's date, which is 10/27/20. Voices should be off. Shut the door, Jackie. Oh, thank you. Awesome. So subtract decimals. And like I said, it's the exact same steps as adding decimals, except we're going to be subtracting them today. So please put a thumbs up on your desk when you have this written down. Voices should be off. Okay, so a few people finishing up the date or the title. All right, so we are going to put a reminder up top. We follow the same steps as adding decimals. So this is a reminder. Follow the same steps as adding decimals. I know it's a little hard to see. My smartboard's a little dim today. So a reminder to follow the same steps as adding decimals. I put a little star next to that note too. You didn't have to put a star, but that's what I chose to do. Yeah, just a reminder. So follow the same steps as adding decimals. Thumbs up on your desk when you have that little note down at the top of your notes. That little reminder. All right. So, like I said, we're going to practice first. We're going to practice. I'm trying moving this up a little bit. Awesome job, you guys. All right. Does everyone have their practice section labeled? Anyone who needs more time? All right. You got another moment? So you guys, we're going to have two practice problems first that we're going to line up, and then there's going to be two that you do on your own. So the first one is 7 and 9/100 minus 3 and 65/100. And then the second one is 85 and 22/100 minus 43 and 5/10. Once you get these two written down, put a thumbs up on your desk. Please do not solve them yet. I'm going to make my decimal point a little bit bigger so you guys can see it better. There we go. Voices should be off. So 7 and 9/100 minus 3 and 65/100 for number one. Then for number two, 85 and 22/100 minus 43 and 5/10. And that's a little dimmer today than usual. There's a few people finishing up, writing these down. All right. Is there anyone who needs more time writing these two down? All right. So what's my first step when I'm writing my two decimals? If we're following the same steps as yesterday, what's my first step? Whisper to the person next to you. What's the first step? All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Raise your hand if you can tell me what's our first step. What is our first step, Alina? We need to line them up. And what do you mean by them? What are we lining up, Alina? The numbers, but mainly the what? Frankie? The decimals. So when I stack these, I need to make sure the decimals line up. So I'm going to make sure you leave a space, because if you have to carry or borrow, you want space above. So 7.09, and then I need to make sure the decimal in 3.65 lines up. So go ahead and write it down with me. And we are subtracting, so I'll put my subtraction symbol and the line. Okay. Awesome. So everyone should have written, gosh darn it, why is it so dim? Okay. All right. Does everyone have that written down? Yes. You have another moment to get that written down. So we stacked them up, or lined them up. We lined up our decimals. What do I do next? Who can raise their hand and tell me what's the second step? Jack P, what's the second step? You skipped one step. Before we add zeros, what do we need to do? What do we need to do, Chanel? Nope. Drop it down. What am I dropping down? The decimal. So then my decimal comes straight down. Awesome. So line them up, drop it down, then fill them in. So fill them in. That's if there are any spaces I need to add zeros. Well, are there any spaces, you guys? No. So what do I do last? I finally solve it. We subtract. So go ahead and subtract. Find the answer. Remember, just because you might be done with something doesn't mean the people around you are. So you should be turned around in your seat, facing the way you're supposed to. And you can read if you're done. You can sit quietly, but you should not be distracting or trying to get the attention of others. All right, ready to rock? All right, so for that first one, we would subtract like we normally do, right to left. So 9 minus 5 is what, 5th grade? 4. It is 4. Can we do 0 minus 6? No, we have to borrow. So I go to the 7, take 1 away from the 7, make it 6, and then our 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 6 is 4, and then 6 minus 3 is 3. So you should have wound up with 3 and 44 hundredths as your answer. I would like you all to go on and do number 2 on your own. Follow the steps that we did. Do number 2 on your own. When you're done, either read, write, or draw quietly, or just wait patiently and quietly at your desk. Ready to rock. All right, so let's look at this 5th grade. Please put your books or whatever else you are working on aside, and let's look at number 2 together, see if we get the same answer. So, following the steps from yesterday, the first step is to Jack, L, and Michael line them up. So I need to line up the decimals when I stack them. So I would write 85.22 up top. Then I'm going to line up the decimal in the second number with the first number. So before the decimal, I have 43. After the decimal, I have a 5. Put my subtraction symbol and the line across the bottom. My second step, drop it down. So I'm dropping down that decimal into where my answer will go. And then the third step, fill them in. Were there spaces we needed to fill in 5th grade? Yes. Like I said, put your books or whatever else you're working on aside. Thank you. So, fill it in with a 0. Awesome. Now I'm ready to solve. 2 minus 0 is 2. Can I do 2 minus 5? No. So I'm going to borrow from the 5. That becomes a 4. And the 2 becomes a 12. What is 12 minus 5? That is 7. 4 minus 3 is 1. 8 minus 4 is 4. 41 and 72 hundredths is my answer. Did anyone see a silly mistake they made while subtracting? Anyone? Okay. Yeah. So we need to make sure. Yeah, we need to make sure we are taking our time, because I think I make more silly mistakes with subtracting than I do with adding. So I know I need to take my time when it comes to subtracting. All right, we have 2 more practice problems. As soon as you get them written down, you can solve them. Notice number 3 has a unit. So for number 3, it's $10.05 minus $4.50. And then 4 is 8 and 4 hundredths minus 3/10. So as soon as you get these written down, you can solve them. But when you are done, I expect you to find something to quietly do until everyone's done and we can look at them together. Go ahead. Ready to rock. All right, let's look at our two practice problems, 3 and 4. Set aside your books please, if you are reading, set aside your drawings or your pieces of paper if you're drawing or writing. I like everyone sitting up in their seat, so I know you are paying attention and you are ready. All right, so let's look at number 3 first together. So number 3, we had $10.05 minus $4.50. So following my steps, I need to line them up. So I'm going to write my 10.05, and then I need to line up the decimal point in $4.50 with the decimal point in $10.05. So if I write my decimal point, have you guys noticed that I sometimes will write the decimal point first, then fill in the digits? I do that to make sure I'm lining up the correct digits. If you ever look at that second number and think, oh my gosh, I don't know how to line that up with the first one, just start by writing the decimal point and thinking, okay, what's to the left of the decimal? I have a 4, so I write my 4. What's to the right of the decimal point? 50, so then I write my 50. Sometimes just breaking it into those steps can be really helpful, so just keep that in mind. Then add my subtraction sign and my line at the bottom. So I lined them up. Now I need to drop it down. I need to drop down that decimal point, and then I need to fill them in. I have one space that needs to be filled in, and that's just to the left of the 4, so I'm going to put a 0. Now I'm ready to subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5. Now, I have 0 minus 5, and I know some of you may have gotten tripped up on this next part. So usually you would go next door to borrow. Well, that's a 0, so I can't borrow there. So I would technically need to go to this 1. So if I do that, I would take from the 1, that would become a 0. Now, can I just carry that 1 all the way over here? No, I can't skip the 1's place. So first, this needs to become a 10. So I borrow from the 10's place, give it to the 1's place, so the 1's place becomes 10. Now I can borrow from the 1's place and give to the 10th's place. So the 1's place is going to become a 9. My 10th's place will become a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. And then I can do 9 minus 4, which is 5. And then we have 0 minus 0. Am I done with this answer?
No.
What do I need? What do I need, Allison? My unit. What is my unit, Michael? Dollar sign. Exactly. $5.55. Now, how many of you, when you were borrowing, you skipped going all the way over, then bringing it to the 1's, then bringing it to the 10's? How many of you just came over, crossed out the 10, and made the 10 a 9 right away? That works. That could also work, okay? You probably got the same answer as me as long as you did your math right. Awesome. Then let's go on to number 4. So number 4, same thing. I need to line them up. So line up my decimal point. So 8.04. Then I need to line up. So I'm going to place my decimal point directly to the left. I have a 0. So I'm going to write a 0. Directly to the right, I have a 3. Subtraction sign. Line along the bottom. Then I need to drop down my decimal into the area where I'm going to write my answer. Then I need to fill them in, any spaces. I have one space after this 3, so I'm going to put a 0. Then we subtract. So 4 minus 0 is 4. 0 minus 3. Can we do 0 minus 3, 5th grade?
No.
No. So we need to borrow from the 8. So I'm going to cross out the 8, make it a 7, and that 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. And 7 minus 0 is 7. 7 and 74 hundredths. All right, I want you to close your eyes or put your head down. Close your eyes or put your head down. When I say go, which I haven't yet officially, you are going to reflect on how you feel when it comes to subtracting decimal numbers. You're going to show me 1 through 5. Remember, 1 means even with help, I still don't understand, and 5 means I'm very confident with this. I can teach someone how to do this. So go ahead, show me 1 through 5 on subtracting decimal numbers. 1 through 5, how are we feeling? 1 through 5. Now I want you to show me 1 through 5. How do you feel about adding decimal numbers? 1 through 5. How do you feel about adding decimal numbers? Okay. And now I want you to show me your eyes so close. 1 through 5. How do you feel about those 3 steps? Line them up, drop it down, fill them in. 1 through 5, how do you feel about those 3 steps? Remembering them. Okay. Awesome. Hands down. Hands down. Nice work today with our notes. I want you to have your math workbooks out and ready. Math workbooks out and ready. I'm going to tell you what your homework is. 5th grade, do you think it can sometimes be helpful to have your notebook still open while you're doing homework? Yes, to look back at the practice problems you've already done. So, when I ask you to take out your workbook, it doesn't mean you have to close up your notebook. Jack, I'll bring down your mask. You don't have to close up your notebook. It can be really helpful to have those next to you. Okay, you are going to open up in your workbook to page 87. Page 87 in our workbook. All right, so on page 87, you are circling number 4, number 5, number 6, number 10, and number 12. I'm going to say it again. So page 87, 88, you are circling number 4, number 5, number 6, number 10, and number 12. You can go ahead, get started on your homework. I will turn on some work music. Nice job today.